The screen is visible. Screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Shall we start the session?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So yesterday we have discussed about coordinating systems, and today we will see. Today we will see the electrostatistics. So right. So let us come to the objective of electrostatistics. So that is, first we need to learn about Coulomb's law, followed by the electric field intensity. So followed by the electric flux density. And next we will see the different continuous charge distributions, Gauss law, applications of Gauss law, electric potential, relation between E and V, energy density. So overall in your first unit we have these concepts. This we will see one by one here. So listen. So once again repeating, in electrostatics we need to cover Coulomb's law, electric field intensity, electric flux density, different continuous charge distributions, Gauss law, applications of Gauss law, electric potential, relation between E and V, energy density. So these are all our first unit syllabus. So, right. So now see electromagnetics overview here. So Maxwell's equations. So already I have discussed that a Maxwell's equation, field, electric field, magnetostatics, field due to time varying, field for free charge. So these can be accommodated with transmission line theory. So on some Kirchhoff laws also we need to see here. See, our first law is Coulomb's law. So already we have discussed about a Coulomb's law in our classroom also. Once again, you can recall those law. You can recall the same concept. So it is a law which is discovered by Charles Augustin D.C. Coulomb. Charles Augustin D.C. Coulomb, and it can be found in 1785, and so it deals with the force. So with the help of the Coulomb's law, we can able to recognize the force on a point charge to another point charge, and charges are generally measured. The measurement of the charge is in coulombs, and approximately 1 coulomb is equal to 6 into 10 to the power of 8 electrons. Right? So here 1 coulomb is equals to 6 into 10 to the power 8 electrons. And we know that 1 electron charge is nothing but minus 1.601 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. These are the prior requirement to find the force. Are you getting? Students, are you getting? right? See here. So with the overall Coulomb's law description is, it is discovered by Augustine Coulomb in the year of 1785. It deals with the force. It recognizes the force on a point charge due to another point charge. The point charges may be likely charges or it may be a opposite charges. And the charge measured, generally the charge measured in coulombs, 1 coulomb approximately 6 into 10 to the power of 18 electrons. Here 1 electron charge is 1.601 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. See, so now we'll see the statement. So here already force is directly proportional to the product of two charges. Here let you consider there are two charges. One is Q1, second one is Q2. Charge 1 is Q1, charge 2 is see here, charge 1 is Q1, charge 2 is Q2. So these are the two charges. According to the Coulomb's law, the force is directly proportional to the product of two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the charges. So let you consider distance is r between the two charges. Charge is r between the two charges. So coming to the mathematical equation, F is directly proportional to the Q1 Q2 divided by r square, where K is a proportionality constant. Then the Coulomb's law, the mathematical equation, we can express it as F is equals to Q1 K into Q1 Q2 by r square, where K is proportionality constant. The value of the K is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and here epsilon naught is the permittivity. Epsilon naught is the permittivity. So let you consider the free space permittivity is 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12 farad per meter. And overall K value, it can be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, which will be equivalent value for 9 into 10 to the power of 9 meters per farad. Are you clear this equation? Students, are you clear this equation? Okay. See, this is the diagrammatical representation. So let you consider the origin point is here. So from the origin, we are going to placing two charges, namely Q1 and Q2. The respective distances are R1 and R2. Now we need to find a force on charge 2 due to charge 1. So it is a downward direction. We can indicate it here F12. So right, F12. Obviously, so we have another possibility to recognize a charge, a force on Q1 due to Q2. So by indicate, it is indicated by F21, which will be opposite direction of F12. See here, this one is the origin point. Q1, Q2 are two charges. Q1 is having a distance, Q2 is having a distance from origin is R2, and distance between the Q1 Q2 becomes R1. If we want to find force on Q2 due to Q1, it indicated by F12, and if we want to find force on Q1 due to Q2, it is indicated by F21. So let us have a relation between F21 to F12 is F12 is equals to minus F21. So this is the relation which can be possible to place between the two forces. So now we need to recognize the distance between the two charges, that is R12 equal to R2 minus R1, where R equal to magnitude of R12. AR12 is the unit vector along with the direction of R vector, so which is nothing but R12 by R. We can substitute those values into the fundamental equation, then we will recognize the value of F12. F12 equal to Q1 Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R square into R12, where R12 is nothing but R2 minus R1. I can substitute here. RA is nothing but magnitude of R2 minus R1 whole cube. And here is, if there are n point charges, then how to recover? What is the formula? What is the formula to recognize force on n number of charges? So that is charge force on a Q1. The force F is equals to Q1, where Q is a charge 1, Q1 is a charge 2. Sorry, charge 2. Distance between the two charges are R minus R1. Then formula will becomes, for first charge it is Q1 of R1 R minus R1 4 pi epsilon R minus R1 whole cube plus Q2 R minus R2 4 pi epsilon R minus R2 whole cube plus and so on Q suffix n R minus R suffix n divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R minus R suffix n whole cube. You can summarize this equation. You will find summarized equation F is equals to Q is a common term in a above expression. Yet you take it out, Q is out of the equation. Q divided by 4 pi epsilon is a common term, and remaining n equal to k equal to 1 to n, Q of R minus Rk divided by R minus Rk whole cube. This is the finalized formula to recognize a force on a n charges with the help of the Coulomb's law. Right?
Sorry.
Now students, any doubt?
No, sir.
Any doubt? Coulomb's law?
No, sir.
Can you please respond, anyone?
No, sir.
Yeah, I think we have discussed this concept in the class itself, right? See, our next concept, we have to find the electric field intensity, E. The electric field intensity, or it is also called as electric field strength. Definition is force per unit charge is nothing but electric field intensity. E is equals to F by Q, and we can substitute F value. F is nothing but force. We have already recognized the force with the help of the Coulomb's law. That I can substitute here. Then E becomes Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into R square into AR, where AR is the unit vector. We know that the unit vector is R minus R bar divided by R minus R bar whole cube. So finally, E expression will be turns as Q of R minus R dash divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into R minus R dash whole cube. So this is the generalized electric field intensity formulae when we have only one charge. Obviously, if we have there are n number of charges with having a n number of positions, they're having distance between the two n number of charges are r1, r2 and r suffix n, which means that q1 is having a distance of r1, q2 is having a distance of r2, qn is having a distance of rn from its origin position. So this can substitute in the electric field intensity formula. You will get E is equals to q1 of r minus q1 r minus r1, q1 r minus r1 4 pi epsilon naught r minus r1 whole cube plus q2 into r minus r2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught magnitude of r minus r2 whole cube and so on till n charges. This is a generalized representation of electric field intensity. So here you will see the types of the charges here. So there are types of charges in a point charge, line charge, surface charge, volume charge. Point charge is represented as Q, which does not containing length as well as surface. So then it is the shape, it should be a point representation. So that is why it can be called as point charge. Simply we can call it as there is no surface or a zero surface. That dot can be considered as a point. So coming to here, charge means point charge. The charge can be in the shape of line. See here, we can represent the charges in the shape of line, then it can be considered as a line charge. A line charge density is rho suffix L. So here is having just a length and not the surface or not the area. So that is why it is represented as rho suffix L. Rho suffix L. And next is charge, surface charge, which contain area. So that is why the charge density over a surface is rho suffix S. And third particular is volume charge, so which contain area and depth too. See here, so this one is the area and which contain the depth. So then it is considered to be volume charge. The charge may be in the shape of volume. That is why it is considered as a volume charge. The charge density is in a volume charge. The charge density is rho suffix V. Right? So now see here, dq is a differential charge, rho 1 into dl. Q is under the square root of integral of rho l into dl for a line charge. Q is integral of rho s into ds for a surface charge. Q is rho v into dv for volume charge. We consider these formulas, so these are helpful for finding the charges for the problems. See once again, point charge, line charge, surface charge, volume charge. Point charge representation is Q, line charge representation is rho L, surface charge representation is rho S, volume charge representation is rho V. For finding the charges, Q is under the integral of rho L dl for a line charge, choose rho s ds for surface charge